It's the middle of the night in New York City. Times Square is glowing brighter than ever. Cars are racing down highways, and millions of people are staring at screens, not a single one of them asleep. Now, imagine this isn't just New York. It's every city, every town, every home across the United States. From Los Angeles to Miami, from small farming towns in the Midwest to the bustling streets of Chicago, no one is sleeping. Not tonight, not tomorrow, not for an entire month. Sounds impossible, right? Sleep isn't optional. It's one of the most basic needs of the human body, as essential as food, water, and oxygen. But what if, somehow, every single American suddenly stopped sleeping for 30 days straight? No naps, no dozing off, not even a second of rest. What would really happen? The importance of sleep. Before we dive into this nightmare scenario, let's quickly remind ourselves why sleep matters so much. When you close your eyes and drift off each night, your body isn't just shutting down. It's repairing itself. Your brain clears out toxins, your muscles rebuild, and your immune system strengthens. On average, adults need between 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Miss out on that, and things start falling apart. First in your mind, then in your body. A single night without sleep leaves you groggy, irritable, and unfocused. A few days without it, and your memory, decision-making, and even your ability to stay alive are thrown into chaos. America without sleep, the setup. Now let's apply this to the US population. That's roughly 330 million people suddenly staying awake around the clock. The first night passes. Strangely enough, most people feel okay. Sure, they're tired and cranky, but coffee shops are doing record-breaking business. Energy drinks and soda sales skyrocket. People joke online about being part of the country that never sleeps. But by the second and third night, things are no longer funny. Truck drivers are missing turns on highways. Pilots are struggling to stay focused in cockpits. Doctors in emergency rooms are misreading charts and prescribing the wrong medicine. America is now a giant ticking time bomb, a nation awake. Think about it. Sleep deprivation already costs the U.S. economy an estimated $400 billion every year in lost productivity, and that's with people missing just a few hours here and there. Now imagine absolutely no one is sleeping at all. Planes would be grounded, factories would shut down, hospitals would overflow with accidents and mistakes. Even the military, one of the most disciplined institutions in the country, would find itself collapsing from sheer exhaustion. In just a few days, America wouldn't just be tired. It would be on the brink of chaos. The question, so what if this nightmare didn't stop? What if every American kept pushing through? Not just for one night or a week, but for an entire 30 days. By the end of this experiment, would there even be a country left? Or would the United States literally tear itself apart from the inside out? That's exactly what we're about to find out. The first 24 hours without sleep feel like an intense all-nighter. Everyone is exhausted, but adrenaline and caffeine keep most Americans moving. People are cranky, clumsy, and their reaction times have slowed. But for now, society is still functioning. Day 2 to 3, minds begin to slip. By the second and third day, the real breakdown begins. Sleep deprivation affects the brain faster than the body. People start to experience microsleeps, uncontrollable moments where the brain shuts down for a few seconds, even with eyes open. This means drivers drift into oncoming traffic, workers drop machinery on factory floors, and parents nod off while holding babies. The U.S. highway system, normally packed with millions of cars, is now one of the most dangerous places on Earth. Crashes pile up, ambulances scream through cities, and emergency rooms buckle under the pressure. Day 4. The hallucinations begin. By the fourth day, without sleep, something eerie takes over. People begin seeing things that aren't there. Shadows move. Faces twist into monsters. Some hear voices whispering in their ears. The line between reality and dream completely blurs. In a country of over 300 million people, this means mass panic. Conspiracy theories spread like wildfire. Some believe the government poisoned the food supply. Others think aliens are behind it. With judgment and logic collapsing, the public turns on itself. Day 50 bodies in breakdown. The human body can't go this long without rest. By day 5, immune systems are crashing. People develop fevers, struggle to fight off simple infections, and faint from exhaustion. Hormones spiral out of control. Blood pressure skyrockets, hearts beat irregularly, and digestion nearly shuts down. Fast food restaurants, grocery stores, and delivery chains can't keep up. Because their exhausted workers can't function, America's food supply begins to falter. Day 6E national security nightmare. Sleep deprivation doesn't just affect civilians. It's now crippling law enforcement and the military. Police officers on patrol forget where they're driving. Soldiers hallucinate threats and accidentally fire on their own units. Air traffic controllers lose track of planes in the sky. America, once one of the most powerful nations on Earth, suddenly finds itself completely vulnerable. Allies worry. Enemies watch closely. The U.S. military machine is grinding to a halt. Day 70 society cracks. By the end of the first week, the United States is a shell of its former self. Schools have shut down. Hospitals are overflowing. Grocery stores are empty. Power plants and water treatment facilities are running on skeleton crews, barely keeping the lights on. The stock market crashes. The government scrambles to maintain order. But with leaders themselves unable to think straight, plans fail, decisions backfire, and the chaos deepens. The turning point, 7 days without sleep, is already deadly for individuals. But when an entire nation of 330 million is in the same condition, the results are catastrophic. And the scary part, this is just the first week. What happens when America pushes into week 2? When not only the mind, but every single organ in the body begins to collapse. That's when survival itself becomes impossible. The first week without sleep was chaos, but the second and third weeks, that's when America truly falls apart. Week 2, the mind collapses. By the 8th day, most Americans are no longer thinking clearly. Hallucinations are constant. People talk to imaginary friends, see monsters in their mirrors, and wander the streets in a dream, like haze. Psychologists warn that the brain without sleep acts like a brain under heavy drugs. Judgment is gone. Emotions swing violently from rage to despair. Millions suffer full-blown psychosis. Hospitals can't keep up. Mental wards overflow. Families lock loved ones in rooms to keep them from hurting themselves or others. The economy shuts down. By the second week, the U.S. economy has completely collapsed. Banks stop operating because their staff can't count or process numbers. The stock market is abandoned. Trading floors are empty. Screens flicker with unmonitored data. Factories shut down. Airports are graveyards of grounded planes. Truckers, pilots, and train operators are too delirious to function. Without shipments of food, fuel, and medicine, cities begin to starve. Shelves are bare. Gas stations are dry. Pharmacies are empty. Week 2. Bodies start to fail. Sleep isn't just for the brain. It's for every single cell in the body. By the 10th day, the average American's immune system is nearly destroyed. Colds and flu sweep across the country unchecked. Minor infections turn deadly. Even a small cut on the hand can spiral into sepsis. Hormonal chaos deepens. Cortisol levels, the stress hormone, shoot through the roof. Heart attacks spike. Strokes become common. Doctors can't treat patients because they, too, are collapsing. Week 3. Death on a national scale. By the 15th to 20th day, the human body begins shutting down. People slip into states of delirium. Some collapse on sidewalks and never wake up. Others become violent, lashing out in confusion, their brains too broken to tell friend from foe. Cities resemble apocalyptic wastelands. Streetlights flicker, abandoned cars clog highways. The hum of civilization, the constant planes, trains, and chatter, goes silent. The U.S. death toll climbs into the millions. Hospitals resemble morgues. Mass graves are dug outside major cities. Law and order disintegrates. Police forces and the military are no longer functioning. Some units try to maintain order, but without sleep, they can barely aim their weapons. Others abandon their posts entirely, desperate to find food and care for family. Gangs and desperate mobs take over abandoned stores. Looting is everywhere. Fires burn unchecked. 9/11 calls go unanswered. America, once the global superpower, is now a land of chaos, hunger, and fear. The fragile threat of survival. By the end of week 3, the situation is beyond repair. Scientists estimate that the longest a human can survive without sleep is around 11 days. But here, the nation is pushing past 20. Yes, a few people will cling to life longer than others. But their minds are gone, their bodies are falling apart, and their society has already collapsed. The United States of America is no longer a functioning country. It's just millions of broken individuals stumbling toward an inevitable end. The question now is chilling. What happens when America reaches day 30? Could even a single person survive? Or does the entire nation fall into silence forever? By week 4, America is no longer the country you recognize. The United States, a land once defined by bustling cities, constant innovation, and the hum of daily life, has gone silent. The streets are empty, the hospitals are overflowing, and the people, well, there aren't many left. The last survivors, those who somehow make it past 20 days without sleep, are not alive in any meaningful sense. Their brains are fried. The simplest task, walking, eating, or talking, feels impossible. Hallucinations have replaced reality. They stumble like zombies, eyes sunken, skin pale, bodies trembling. Some wander the streets aimlessly, searching for food that no longer exists. Others hide indoors, curled up in corners, their minds trapped in endless delusions. If you looked them in the eye, you wouldn't see a person anymore. You'd see a body waiting to collapse. The science of collapse, scientists predicted this. The human brain requires sleep to clear out toxic waste proteins that build up during waking hours. Without rest, the toxins flood the brain, destroying neurons and severing communication between cells. By day 25, even the last surviving Americans are in full organ failure. Livers stop detoxifying blood. Kidneys fail. Hearts seize from exhaustion. The body, like a machine run too long, simply breaks. Cities become Tums, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, once home to millions, become silent graveyards. Skyscrapers stand tall, but their windows are dark. Subways are frozen mid-ride. Airports are graveyards of abandoned planes. Freeways are endless parking lots of cars whose drivers never made it home. Nature begins to creep back. Deer walk freely through empty suburbs. Coyotes roam city centers. The sound of birds is louder than the sound of humans. The mightiest nation on earth is being reclaimed by the natural world. Global consequences. The collapse of America doesn't just end within its borders. The world feels it immediately. Global trade collapses. Countries relying on U.S. imports, from medicine to technology to food, fall into crisis. Stock markets worldwide crash. Alliances crumble. Other nations try to step in, but without America's massive workforce and economy, the global system can't recover. Billions of people outside the U.S. face shortages, poverty, and famine, all because 330 million Americans couldn't sleep. The final day, by the 30th day, there are no functioning humans left in America. Bodies litter the streets, homes, and workplaces. The hospitals, once the front line, are now silent morgues. The experiment is over, and the result is clear. Without sleep, America ceases to exist. The last flickers of consciousness fade from the last survivors. Their hearts give out. Their brains shut down. The USA is gone. The bigger question, so what does this terrifying scenario teach us? That sleep isn't optional. It's not a luxury. It's a fundamental requirement for human survival. Without it, our bodies break, our minds dissolve, and even the strongest societies collapse. The very thing we take for granted each night, those 7 or 8 hours in bed, is the glue holding civilization together. So tonight, when you close your eyes and drift off, remember your sleep is more powerful than you could ever imagine. We've reached the end of our journey, 30 days without sleep. The result, the collapse of not just the United States, but the ripple effect across the entire world. But before we close this thought experiment, let's step back and ask, what does this reveal about sleep, and why is it so vital to both the human body and human society? The science behind the nightmare. Every night when you go to bed, your body doesn't just shut down. It enters one of the most complex, active, and life-saving states imaginable. During deep sleep, your brain performs garbage collection, clearing out toxins that build up during the day. Without this, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's become far more likely. During REM sleep, your brain consolidates memory, processes emotions, and repairs neural connections. Take away REM, and you lose the ability to learn, to control your feelings, or even to understand reality. Your body also uses sleep to repair muscles, regulate hormones, and boost the immune system. Those hours in bed are a nightly maintenance cycle, and without them, you fall apart piece by piece. So when we imagined 330 million Americans losing that cycle all at once, it wasn't just individuals dying, it was civilization itself shutting down. The fragile web of civilization. We often think of power grids, the internet, or military strength as the backbone of a nation. But at its core, society is just people. And people are fragile. Without sleep, workers can't build, leaders can't lead, doctors can't heal, and farmers can't farm. Remove sleep, and you remove the ability to function. And without functioning humans, no country, no matter how rich, how advanced, or how powerful, can survive. This experiment shows us just how delicate the balance really is. A simple biological need, ignored for just weeks, can erase everything we've built. Lessons for the real world. Of course, no one is going to wave a magic wand and stop an entire nation from sleeping. But real world sleep deprivation is still one of the greatest hidden threats to modern societies. Millions of Americans already live with chronic sleep loss. From night shift workers to students cramming for exams, to parents juggling jobs and childcare. Studies show that regularly sleeping less than 6 hours a night is linked to higher risks of heart disease, diabetes, depression, and even shortened lifespan. On a societal scale, sleep-deprived workers make more mistakes, cause more accidents, and lower productivity. It costs the U.S. economy hundreds of billions every year. So while our 30-day nightmare was fictional, its message is painfully real. When we don't prioritize sleep, we slowly dismantle our own health, our relationships, and even our society. The final what if. So, what if every American stopped sleeping for 30 days? The answer is chilling. They wouldn't survive. The country would collapse, and the world would feel the shockwaves. But here's the good news. This doesn't have to happen. Tonight, when you put your phone down, turn off the lights, and let your body rest, you're not just recharging yourself. You're protecting your community, your country, and the future of humanity. Sleep is not weakness, it's survival. And in a way, it might just be the most powerful weapon we humans have ever had.